George Harrison truly hated him more than anyone, and while the quiet Beatle was known for his calm demeanor, spiritual wisdom, and dry wit, when it came to this particular figure, his dislike ran deeper than any casual professional rivalry. It was personal, long-standing, and rooted in wounds that never fully healed. Over the years, Harisson had his share of creative and personal conflicts, from clashing with Paul McCartney over songwriting contributions to his famously complicated friendship with Eric Clapton, but the one person he reportedly harbored the most enduring resentment toward was former Beatles manager Alan Klein. Harrison's mistrust and eventual hatred for Klein stemmed from what he saw as manipulation, greed, and the deliberate fracturing of relationships within the band during their most turbulent period. In the late 1960s, as the Beatles' business affairs spiraled into chaos following the death of longtime manager Brian Epstein, Klein arrived promising to solve their financial problems, wooing John Lennon and Yoko Ono with bold assurances and an aggressive style, but Harisson quickly came to believe that Klein was pitting band members against each other for his own gain. Although George initially went along with Lennon and Ringo Starr in appointing Klein over McCartney's objections, it didn't take long before he realized the decision had been a grave mistake. Klein's tenure was marked by lawsuits, tax disputes, and a poisonous atmosphere that coincided with the band's breakup, and Harisson never forgave him for the role he believed Klein played in accelerating that demise. The animosity only deepened in the 1970s when Klein's legal battles with Apple Corps bled into Harrison's solo career, with Harisson feeling that Klein's business tactics were not only underhanded but also directly harmful to his creative freedom. Friends of Harisson have recalled that while he could make peace with many former adversaries, including McCartney and even Clapton, after years of personal tension, he never extended the same grace to Klein, often speaking of him with a sharpness and bitterness rare for the otherwise peace-minded musician. Harrison's hatred wasn't born solely out of financial disputes, but from a sense of betrayal. He believed Klein had exploited the Beatles' trust at a vulnerable moment, turning a brotherhood into a business battleground. Even decades later, long after Klein was no longer a direct presence in his life, Harrison's comments about him remained laced with disdain, a stark reminder of just how deep the wounds had gone. This was not the measured disappointment he sometimes expressed about others, but a full rejection of the man's character and motives, something those close to Harisson say was unmatched in his feelings toward anyone else. In the end, George Harrison's life was largely defined by his pursuit of peace, love, and spiritual growth, yet his contempt for Alan Klein stood as one of the few emotional battles he never truly resolved, a lingering scar from a chapter in Beatles history that, even in his later years, he could never fully forgive or forget.